we are going to add our script. And our script is going to be called access, 2 C's, 2 S's, and a capital A. Now our script is also going to use on trigger enter. So we need to make sure that we have a trigger on our FPS controller. So we're going to go to add component and sphere collider. And what I want to make sure that we do is that we make this sphere collider a radius of 1. And that'll be a little bit larger than us, exactly as tall as we are, and it'll extend out a little bit further than our body will. Oh, and then finally we need to make sure that it is a trigger right here. So access and sphere collider is trigger, radius of 1. So everybody got that? I'll wait for a second and make sure we're all on the same page. If that is the right spot, go ahead and open that script.
Yeah, so see your script code.
Okay, script open. Script open. Wonderful. Go ahead and let's go to edit. No, I just did that. Your script name should be capitalized. Sorry. Well, we'll move on. Okay. All right. So this week we're learning about if statements, about else statements, about if-else statements, and Booleans. Maybe you know about all that stuff already. The essential idea is we have a door that can only be opened if we have both of our keys. Key 1 being sphere 1, and key 2 being sphere 2. So we're going to have a Boolean. Have E1 and have E2. And then we're going to have an if statement that says if both of these are true, then we can walk through our door. That's essentially what we're working on right now. So right above our start method, so right at the top of our script, we're going to have a couple of Booleans. Key 1 will have key 2. And then we're going to use our method void on trigger enter. We've used this script before, right? Yeah? Okay. It's important for us to have a collider other because we're going to check the tag of other, of that sphere, of that door. And so we need to have a reference to what we're running into. So if that makes sense, I'm going to run into the floor, I'm going to run into both of the walls, I'm going to run into the spheres, and I'm going to run into the door. And the door and the two keys are going to have tags. And if I don't have collider other, a name for what I'm running into, I couldn't reference it like this. If other dot GameObject dot tag is equal to key 1. Key 1 is equal to true. Destroy other.GameObject. So don't forget to close your if statements curly brace. So let's remember our components, right? This is a collider. And so in Unity, when I run into this wall over here, well, let's call it the door. When I run into this door, I'm going to be giving my on trigger enter this guy right here. Okay, so this box collider, when I run into that door, is other. So this script will run. It's going to have a reference to the door's collider that I just ran into. Does that make sense? And then obviously that collider doesn't have a tag, and we want to get the tag on the game object. So that's why this syntax here, other.GameObject. So go to the parent game object, this thing with the name and the tag and the is it turned on. Dot tag is equal to key 1. All these tags are strings, so we're just checking to see if this string is the same as the tag. Now, if that tag is correct, we call our Boolean have key 1 equal to true, and we destroy the other.GameObject. If we left it just as other, the component other, that collider, would get deleted, but the game object would still exist. So make sure we're destroying the entire game object, not just other. Okay, so let's test and see if this works. We're going to go back to Unity. We're going to go to key 1. You can call it whichever one you want. And we're going to create a couple of tags up here. So click on the tag. Obviously, we don't have key 1 in here by default, so we're going to go to add tag at the bottom. That's going to take us to this screen. Tags list is empty. We're going to add to list, key 1, and save. And why don't we just add key 2 and door at the same time. By the way, remember how I always tell you to save the assets and the project settings? This file here, these 3 tags, are in project settings. So if you only save your assets folder, next week this code will not run because these keys, these tags will not exist. Okay, so back to our sphere, and then tag it as key 1. And then hopefully, when we run into that key, it'll delete itself. That's what we're looking for. Not trigger on that sphere, but trigger on your player. That'll be real important. What is this? Right click on the nothing selected. Yes. Okay. Check your tag. Yeah, you'll jump into it. I'll make it, you get to it. Uppercase O. So that is camel case, but all your methods start with an uppercase. All your variables start with So let's look at our code. Tristan, you got it? Trevor, you got it? Awesome. Your sphere glider on your, no, why do you have access on your sphere? Why do that? Yeah, so that's sphere access. No, it's on that. Okay, now run this again and see. Problems, anyone else? I'll tell everybody this. It comes up every class. It's an important thing to know about. Capital G game objects. Have I said this already? Capital G game object is a reference to a new game object. Okay? So I'm creating a new game object called clone. I think we've done that already. And that's a new game object. If we have a lowercase game object, capital B still, this is a reference to the game object that script is on. So if we have a component like other.gameObjects, we're talking about the game object that other is attached to. So that's the lowercase g, capital case G difference. Natalie, you got it? Riley, you got it?
I have a question.
Yep.
And this is me just professional.
Sure.
But so I got it to that's this one right here is key one. Walk into the I didn't see if we could get for the types of I actually can't make it first. It goes, squares, that's it. I'm gonna do that. I don't know if I would have one good spot.
Nor exception. So you don't have, you didn't assign what website text it is. So you have it here. Did you drag and drop it into that spot? Or do you select your FPS controller? This is what happens. Just drag your text up.
Okay.
Any questions back here? You can't use your work. That's fine. So, yes, you have a slider. You have a steer slider. One. That shouldn't be a glider. I mean, a trigger. Still should be so look it up though. Uppercase on trigger. I think always start with a capital O. Good. Yes.
Why? You don't know what you're saying. Because they want to run into it with cargo.
It's only out
Okay. So let's go ahead and add a little bit more. Let's have it tell us that that we have the first key. Okay. You've picked up the first key number 1. So let's go ahead and make an else if. Else if just for speed. And we're essentially going to copy all of this but instead we're going to do key 2. Are we deleting both of our keys?
So why also
If we have else if, and the first one is true, it won't check the second. It's a stupidly small, pointless thing. It's just a coding practice. We don't have to have it. We could just have if. But if that first one's true, it would check the second one too. So why would we do that?
Better easy to do it when you're
So it doesn't check, but it's still check.
Right. Yeah, it's very useful in other situations. Almost useless in this situation, but still a good coding practice. Okay, so same for the door, right? Well, the door is going to be a little bit different. So we'll still have our else if. We'll still have other.gameObjects.key is equal to door. But then instead of saying, you picked up door, right, because that doesn't make sense, we need to make sure that we have both keys. So we're going to do another if statement, a nested if statement, if you will. And we're going to say if we have key 1, so that's our Boolean, right? That's our first test. And so our Boolean is either going to be true or false. If have key 1 is true and have key 2 is true, then we can say print welcome to the other side. And then destroy other.gameObjects. And so that'll just delete your door and you can walk through your empty hole now. What? Oh, tag. But we need an else statement, don't we? If we don't have both of the keys, if this statement have key 1 is true and have key 2 is true, if that's not both true, we should probably print out you need to have both keys to open the door. I teach so many programming classes, I forget who knows what.
It's still displayed there. I mean, the key is it. Yeah.
Come on. Okay.
So does it work like you expect it to?
No, I'm still saying that it needs the keys, even though I got rid of them.
Okay. I might have forgotten to save mine. No? Oh, I didn't tag my others. Thanks. So I'm going to tag key 2. I'm going to tag door. There we go. All right. Okay. Raise your hand if you've got it. Okay. Good. All right.
I mean, like, if you made it, everything worked right. It's just that it's that door before.
Why? Well, it's obviously not my play. Something's not working as you want it to. That's deleted. Second one, not deleted.
Yeah,
So
that's
like,
what I did.
Okay, so you can say
I'm gonna
it's
walk
checked
through
for
the
true
door.
or false anyway. So if you has two one pieces equals true, it's the
It just says you have to keep that open up there.
Okay, so let's go back to our code. Maybe our booleans weren't.
You gotta get into how it will actually use that.
Yep. Okay. So line 18, you're picking up key number 2, but your boolean is not key 1.
We
We'll
already
change that to have key 2, and you should be already.
reviewed your as true or false.
Good cake. Well,
I was just probably saying.
perfect. Dalton catching up.
Wait, can you put the options down?
Okay. Hello, you got it? Ken, you got it?
Yeah.
No? Line 17. You're picking up the second key. Can't have the same machine. You should really say key 1 collected, key 2 collected. But, you know, whatever. Do your thing. You got it? Okay.
It already says.
So you have your tags set on 3. Okay. And are they destroying themselves? Okay, and does it tell you you have both keys? Okay, so a little bit more. Let's go back to our code. Yeah, that's right. Show me the console so I can watch it. Yes. Oh, why is access control? It's not access. It's not access on access control. And it probably is. Shouldn't make a difference. Let's go ahead and play with our access controller. Yeah, it's gotta be on. There's our previous. It's our previous. Cool. So the issue was it bigger than your personal collider? Okay.
So
If statements aren't crazy. we all basically understand how they exist. If this is true, do this thing. If it's not true, do this other thing. That's if and that's else. And you can put all your code in an if and an else statement. For an if else, we have if this is true or if this is true, do that thing. And you can have infinite number of, if it's key 1, if it's key 2, if it's key 3, here's directions for each of those. And then if it's none of those, we have our else statement, which is our default do something else. We have a couple of operators. So you notice we had and. There we go. We also have or. This character is shift and then right above your enter key. So maybe you'll have a situation where if you have one key or you have the other key, that's fine. So maybe you got it from this person, or maybe you found it by sneaking into the guard's room. And then finally we have a not operator, which is an exclamation mark. And it's simply for testing if you want it to be not true. An if statement always runs when it's true, and maybe you don't want to bother with an else statement. You just want to have it if this is not true, do the thing. How would I explain this well? Let's see if we can find a reason to use this. I usually can. They're very useful operators. So we have ands, we have or, and we have not. We just used if test. Okay, let me break down the if statement a little bit. This is an if statement. It just has a test in here. If this test is true, the code runs. If the test is anything but true and therefore false, either the if will skip itself, right? So you can just have an if statement, you don't need an else statement. If you want this to run only if we press a button down, right? Then this will run when we press the button down, and all the rest of the times it'll just do nothing. Our else statement doesn't need a test. There is no test for an else statement because this is the test for the else statement. If this is false, else runs. So we don't need a pair of brackets here because it already has a test up here, and that's the only reason you use else, is to have it if this is false, do this thing. Finally, we have else if. And that will have a test, and it can be its own thing. The reason we have else if is, let's say we have like 7 keys, and the first key is the right key. We don't need to test the other 6 keys. We know we found the first key. Or if we got the second key, we know we don't have to test the other 5 keys. This saves time if you're comparing these long, like a long string. If you have an expensive list of things that might happen, we can have else be the right and then skip the rest. This is also really important for things like if your score is greater than 1,000, okay, and let's say the score is 5,000, right? We'll have if your score is greater than 1,000, and then we'll also have else if score is greater than 500. Okay? If my score is greater than 1,000, it's also greater than 500. But if I just have if statements, it'll test this one, and then it'll test this one, and it'll test 250, and it'll test 0. Which means that instead of saying, you got a score over 1,000, congratulations, and then end it, you also have, you have a score over 500, good work. You have a score over 250. Okay, you have a score greater than 0. Okay, right, it would give you 4 statements instead of 1 statement. So that's a good reason for having else if, because if this one's true, none of the rest display F. Tristan, does that make sense? I guess you did that in C++, didn't you? You haven't taken C++ yet?
You take that.
What is the nightmare?
They have me take C++ before I enter the program.
Really?
It's not hard.
You guys don't mess you up. Okay. If you take C++ with me, you will be okay. You might be okay with other teachers too. So definitely be okay with me. Okay. So there's our if statement. If you ever played a game where you have to find a key to open a door, now we can build a maze and have 3 keys. And you can only open the red door with the red key. Only open the green door with the green key. So it's been 55 minutes. Let's take a 10-minute break and come back at 9:05 and do more fun stuff.
So final project that we need to do.
No, that would be more, but you could almost make Doom just on this project.
And you could pretty much fit Doom onto pretty much anything, like the original Doom on pretty much anything.
Oh man, does the internet work yet?
No, it's not.
Cool.
Do they know that up at help desk that we
They know.
Yeah. I mean, I assume the help desk doesn't work.
Huh?
I assume that help desk is trying to get on the internet too, right?
Depends. Because help desk is actually located in 6K. I didn't see it over there before.
I need some help.
I'll be right there.
I'm expecting some more to file. Like I have everything like.
You're missing a curly bracket at the end. If you want, I can go up there and let them know.
No, I'll just do this right now.
Okay.
Yeah, you're missing a bracket. Sure, the input class.
How do I put that under?
Yeah,
Wireless?
so new line.
Network.
And then another.
You don't have that option?
bracket.
There it is.
So like you can see what this.
You have
highlights,
internet?
This one corresponds to this
No, I
one.
just have access to help desk.
Okay, this one you can see, but it corresponds to this one. So, yeah, this is why.
Super lucky.
It's important to just go ahead and have all these other. Hey, you use Visual Studio.
I don't know.
Hey. That's so passive aggressive, Brian.
What else do you want me to say? Okay. Oh, right. Okay.
So how would you do this with the keys, but then also instead of just the door securing that,
Are you answering your own question?
Maybe, is there a way you can just say play animation of like a door opening?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, I want to see the goal.
They have a ladder.
The goal? I did. This is a new material. It's literally called glass. Watch this.
Yeah, that's really easy. It's well, if I had internet, I could show you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so the script is, I'm just gonna type it out here. This is going on the camera, okay? Void late update is important. Transform dot look at target. So public transform target. Okay, so Cameron, those are what you need. If anyone else wants this code, it's how to make your camera look at something. Not really useful if you have an FPS controller, but if you have a regular main camera and you just want to watch a ball roll around, no need for you guys to know this right now. We'll cover it later.
Look, you got stuff over here where you can pick up this, and you can run over here, and you can access the skywalk, and you're on the elevator that does it.
You have to jump to the next level.
Didn't I tell you to do this already?
Yeah, you gotta
I did.
I did not know if you text when you want to get out, you have to jump.
Okay. Don't forget to close your entire script. And you got a lot of extra stuff. Capital L look at.
You can only go up the elevator once,
And you've got target joint 3D, which just needs to be target. Do you have a question, Dylan?
Yeah, so if you wanted to have, say, the door just slide out of the way, was that a transform?
Transform.translate. You have to do it over time, though, which is difficult.
Gotcha.
Do you have your animation skills?
Not really.
Okay.
So we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
I need help.
Doesn't like what? Semicolon after target. The first one.
I have like the keys, like both these like stacked on one, and you need like register it all.
Disappear?
Yeah, it disappear.
Let's look at your FPS controller.
Yeah, the script that
Okay, your sphere collider needs to be a trigger. That's what's messing you up.
G and F.
Yeah, that's always trying to think I can mess you up.
Say hello is age.
Okay.
Insanity is
Okay.
N.
So on trigger enter needs a trigger. That's all. Okay. Get rid of that.
Oh wow. Oh, Kristen. Look at this.
Whoa.
Oh, so cool. Grass is always out there for the game.
Is there an easy way for it to follow it down as well? Was it
Yes. No, so you can probably figure this one out. Look at me for a second, because I'm going to visualize it here. Transform target position is equal to this position plus like a vector 3 of 17. So I'm far away from it, but I'm mimicking its position exactly plus 17 on the Y scale or something like that. You have my book. It's in the book. What is the
You
book?
said that you, yeah.
Oh.
I know that you said that we don't need it, but I would like to have it.
Sure. It's learning C#. Ah, man, I would. Let me borrow that book for a second, Cameron. Here's the book.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and write down that and the author.
Okay.
I think there's an updated version, which you should totally get from a different author.
Is it the one that I would use for my C# class?
No.
No. Okay.
Your C# class with Bob Ray is totally different and way less cool.
Yeah. He's a real monotone too. I've had him for a lot of classes.
Oh, have you? So don't write down the author name, just write down Pact, because that's the publisher.
Okay. So as long as it's basically with Unity 3D.
Mm-hmm. That is the exact same name. I've been reading through it. I got it in a Humble bundle. And I would show you, but the internet's not working.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Oh, and also I did say that I have a game field.
Oh, what?
Do you know that if they have it at the bookstore?
What's Game Fields?
Oh, I got it.
Oh, cool. It's on sale?
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you know if they have it at the bookstore?
They don't.
They don't.
They don't. Dalton, question?
I need help with this because like the scene from last week isn't working anymore for some reason.
Okay, do you have any errors?
It says input button G is not set up, even though I have not assigned that button at all anywhere in this thing. Oh, wait a minute. Anyway.
Okay. Try a lowercase g. You can double click on that error and get the script that is calling it. Okay, man, everything's bright.
What the heck? I have this thing cast properly. What the heck? I have this thing. How is it not like input button G? How is it not?
Wait, what is that beeping? Is that me? Cutter. Okay. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to modify the script that we have so that the red key gets you through the red door and the green key gets you through the green door. We'll work on this for 15 minutes and see what happens. Let's try. Oh God. Friendly reminder to save your work.
So this needs a horn pad, I'm guessing.
Should work.
I'm gonna do
If you have questions, please ask. Yes, Cameron.
2 years ago, I just sat down.
No, that's not a question.
I know.
You're, okay. Doesn't work as a question. Okay. If you can figure out how to phrase that as a question, you let me know.
What do you mean it's my problem? Yeah. I like to call this one the shrink.
Can you help me out with this else statement? Give me an error.
Regular spread
I have that
effect on people.
No. Hold on. Alex?
Nope.
They're doing an assignment.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
Welcome to.
So thank you. Please always do that. But tell me what your error is.
Unexpected symbol else.
Okay.
You're missing a code reference.
Alex, stop helping people.
That sounded a little counterproductive, that statement right there.
You can help people in a minute.
I think I got it.
So where do I put this filler brackets?
So an else statement.
Expected this thing.
I mean, like, unless I actually do like else.
But I have that thing.
I don't
Nope.
really know. That is also good enough.
He should help me with my error.
We've got our else statement. It's right after our if statement.
Just make the thing better.
If opens and closes, else opens and closes.
You need more. You need more.
You're just gonna have to say this now.
Does yours do that?
I'm still really bad at this.
See what can.
Okay, well, I want you to work at it. So you try first.
Well, this is above that if statement, though.
Yeah. It's
This is
the
right
really
above the
should
if
be
statement. Unless, because I made it an else if.
Good question. I love this question. Okay, so Byerly has if, else, and then else if. Your else statement has to be your last statement. So you have your if, your else if, your else if, your else if, and the last one has to be else.
That one doesn't work.
So
just turn this into if instead of else.
hey bro, this else statement should be all this is code for your else if. Needs to be above your else. Your else is your last thing, okay?
Okay.
Let's see what you got for a second.
Disaster.
Because you basically just tried to copy what I did with the
You're
first
funny,
one.
Peter.
You know what? KYS. I don't
That's
want.
racist.
That's racist.
My bad.
House.
Thanks, Billy. You're fine. You saw me coming.
Now you're doing house.
This is a non. Let's go ahead and say, you've got a game option on. You've got if the black tag is P1,
Shift
if
zero.
P2, or it's 0-1. If
No, shift zero.
This needs to be back. Not, okay.
Super.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I actually ended up playing that before short cut accent because I'd
At
always.
the end
my
of
PG
your
always
nested
slip on
is
hold
Valkyrie,
shift.
right? So this guy.
Or, yeah.
Let's go ahead and increase this tab. Here. Shouldn't have it go back in that.
And all I do is add one more curly brace for that void, or?
I think you'll need to delete that curly brace right above it.
Okay.
Do you have a question, Kathy?
Thank you.
So that you don't open, so I guess, would I do not? Not within, or not P2?
No, because you're gonna have, like I can't get to key 2 until I'm through key 1.
Oh,
Okay?
or is it, next to something that will. Does this look like, madness is in right here?
Look, I added a hole here so you can look down to the scroll. So it's powerful, so you can walk on top of it.
But I need to pick the.
It's nasal.
Oh.
Love it. Alright. This is untagged, and that's why. Door 2, now it should work
Questions?
flawlessly. It should work
It
flawlessly.
says this line right here is still not.
Oh wow, it worked on that one. Let's try the other one.
Lowercase a on line 9.
Oh my gosh, it totally worked.
Isn't that fun?
Absolutely.
So much fun.
Mine doesn't work.
Questions?
Mine isn't working.
Cutter.
Wait, I think I got it. Door 2.
Bam!
I think I got it. I think I got it.
Good.
I think that may be my
Good.
problem. We will try.
Riley, do you have a light in your scene?
Alright, so we'll try door 1
Add
and see if
add a
I
light
can
to
break
your
it.
scene. Get some shadows. in
Bam,
there.
still
I
works.
just put it really high up.
Pick up the second key.
Directional light
Yeah,
is
that's
on.
my problem.
If you have a different light.
Bam, still doesn't work.
I'm getting the really unexpected signal.
Find methods
Actually, I'm
from-
pretty sure I do.
Do I have a little bit more curly brace?
Yeah. I have it.
I would count your foot braces.
I think I put it really high. Find out what it is and make sure you turn the shadows on. Okay.
Like, that doesn't matter, I'm just trying to make your stuff look better. Okay.
Cutter.
I don't know what I did wrong. I think it's flawless.
No.
No, it just doesn't work.
So I don't think that's it. Because I had one or delete one, it doesn't change it. This is a carbon copy of the other one.
Okay, so, behold, if the tag is 1 on this line, we're following this line, okay? If the tag is P1, else if the tag is P2, else if door. And why is it on a different tab over here?
So I should
Because
like.
it's still nested inside door.
Oh, no, I figured out the problem.
If.
No.
Yeah.
You need to get out of this else if and put this one over this else if. Yeah, consider it right. I knew I was right.
So we have like. What's these off, right?
With that one, I like. See where she goes with that. And then you fix your tapping out a little bit.
That namespace, what do you do?
I think this is the one that I did right. Tapping on the user.
something else to brown, but make a wall around it.
You sure? I don't even use planes fully brown. I use
How
quads for
more?
everything. My quads are 3 meters by 3
Pick
meters.
that one up. This will run.
Okay.
Bam! Oh, Tristan, I'm better. Call me a code master.
Is this the light that turns on and off?
You're a code
No, this is
master. Wow, I got that from speaker.
This one
I must be doing something right.
I mean, so when they copy and paste the numbers, hit play and your script turns, does it turn the direction light on?
No.
Press that button to turn the light on. So it turns that light on.
Turn
Where is that light on? Probably there.
Where did you do it? Oh.
In our scene, so we're gonna keep it, and then shadow, shadows, color shadows, soft shadows, whatever you want. And then let's drag that up a little bit.
That's not gonna work.
Cause what I had last time we had all the way like up here, and its intensity set to 1200. That way it makes lighting my scene plan.
Yeah. And that's fine, I just wanna make sure
Probably
when it's
should,
on, I
like,
shadow.
have it not,
Okay.
yeah, you broke that shit. The thing tagged.
Riley, doing alright?
Yeah.
You need me?
You tagged it right then,
Question, I need to get something off the computer. Would it be on either computer in here? Like if we save something, or it's just on that particular one?
Might be, on that particular one. Is that Khalil's? Is that computer right there?
So I said, yes.
That's usually what we say. Hey Khalil.
I can come ahead of class.
At the end of class is okay? Okay, good. Come back.
What time do you class?
11.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Yeah,
Alright.
should be
Yeah,
there.
I'll-
Yeah, you're fine.
It's happening.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Brian, we need to have a self-love seminar.
A what?
Sounds freaking weird.
That was so that was pretty.
You can't appreciate others until you appreciate
the wild.
yourself.
I can appreciate that others aren't me the wild.
I don't think it would work like you expect. What do you want to do with your while loop? Right.
So I don't want to get Q1 and Q2, I want to get Q1 first.
Oh.
Three,
Can't you build it like my scene, where they can't get key 2 until they go through the red door?
I'm sorry.
Oh, wow.
So let me tell you about the while loop real quick.
Right after this practice.
Your while loop will run in one frame.
Wow, it should work now.
So it's not a waiting situation. It's right in C++, right? We already have our game loop. It's in
I don't think
update.
he's golden. Like
While loops will just run everything in one frame. There's a thing called a coroutine, which we'll get into later in the class. That will do a thing and then wait, do a thing and then wait. Yeah. Do you like having it work graphics like that? Okay. Question, Cassie? Ricardo, you got it?
I love how your internet says it's broken. Mine says, oh yeah, man, go ahead. Should have told you it was this practice. I was going through them one at a time. I already told you.
Uh-oh. My doors disappeared. Oh, great.
Once you have them like animate,
What I'm testing for is you don't have that.
The unit those separately. Like you have a
Oh,
like well, so your guys might add alright, fine, I'll make this one one D. You don't have to learn how to like you don't need anything.
Right. That's why I was doing it.
And I'll run into everything. That's like the end of void. Make sure you're
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't do that. I had like an extra.
Ooh, I got an idea.
You like having them ready after that? Because I do too.
Yeah, yeah, and that one, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that is.
But I was thinking.
You know what? sound like that. Ever seen it? Yep, there you go. It'll blow your mind. Not even gonna lie.
Okay, cool stuff. So that's or if else. How else could we use if else? What other fun thing could we build? We've done instantiation in this class. We shot the rocket out. We played some audio last week, right?
Can we play more with particles?
Particles are fun. Yeah, I'll save popular requests by for the last hour. Let's go ahead and build a simple if statement. So in our third room, so after our green door or our second door, actually I don't want to do that. I just want to copy everything here, except for that. D, V, chunk.
Academy class assignments ASAP. Only Naomi, you'll like to do this.
So in our last room, we're going to build a cube with a rigid body. And we'll go ahead and build a new script on it, and we'll call it auto jump. And what we're going to do in our auto jump script is, well, first we'll have a float jump level. And then float jump level. And then a float jump charge. So let's say that we want it to jump. Well, 500 was a pretty small jump, but it jumped, right? And then jump charge plus reframe. What do I call what?
What would you call that script?
Auto jump.
Really smart people that help others. Yeah. Actually, no, it's actually quite the opposite. That also probably the best API.
Is it really?
It really is. It's probably my favorite.
That's sad.
Not really.
Well, that makes a lot of sense because Macs are like really shit components, why but then it's like no, like with hardware.
So Cutter, it's also
Actually,
Cutter. It's also on every iPhone.
Yeah.
So that makes it pretty useful.
Yeah. How do you get it to not like autocorrect?
I don't know. You should Google it.
No.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Hey, you gotta be 3,893 and then that's fine or escape. No, oh, you're saying like to get rid of it?
Oh,
Like,
get rid of
no,
it.
hi.
Oh,
Like,
get rid of jump.
Oh, it just wouldn't be.
Does anybody get this working yet?
Like, no.
If this code works correctly, it should jump every 2
Well,
seconds.
RB isn't-
I would check it, but I have to leave this code up for you.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Do I need to add anything fancy to that queue, or is it actually
Well, I think it might be.
Follow this line down, okay? If key 1, else if key 2, else if door, else if door. Yeah, but the problem is,
Does not
this else
contain
if is
add
inside the previous else if, so get it out there. So right there.
For one, you don't have rich body.
Give it another
Yeah,
push.
one, this needs to be this.
No, you need
Okay,
to
so now it's on the same line as everyone else.
Yeah.
Nope. Told you that, right? That's what we wanted.
No,
Okay, so else if door,
Rigid,
not that.
body.
And just,
RP.
oh, you know, get rid of
Yep.
this
And
one.
now you have to get in front and start. What?
Yeah.
Oh, the jump change? RP
Okay, 'cause you
space,
see your
this
problem
thing
was,
means.
it was checking for door,
Yes.
and if it wasn't door, then it's definitely not gonna be checked for door two.
Just saying,
Because
rig,
door two is
rigid
inside
body.
of this checking. Not what your issue
Body,
was.
this thing.
So now I can check for door two all by itself. Like we didn't have a key. And then always have these back control tab, shift tab, sorry.
I got it right here.
It puts it where it needs to go.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget to add a rigid body to the box, otherwise you need to jump charge does not exist, blah, blah, blah.
Tags, right?
It's blasted off into space.
Yeah, that's what mine did too.
Blasted off.
It doesn't come back down.
And it just keeps going.
Awesome.
If I remember correctly, the conversion in Unity is like.
No, the issue is that we don't set jump charge back to 0.
So it just keeps going.
So what we're going to do is if jump charge is greater than or equal to jump level, RB add force, jump charge is equal to 0. That should fix our infinitely escaping queue.
Yeah. So that popped it now, and every 2 seconds it has a little jump. So then, because jump level is public, we can change 500 to 750 or 800. Just be aware that it should be on the ground again before it jumps, or it's going to blast off and do fun stuff.
I wanna die. So you know what I do? I hop on top of this and I go,
This is the real stuff.
Yes.
Mine says the script class can't be found.
Okay, your names are going to be mismatched, or you're going to have an error somewhere else.
Hey guys, I figure out how to beat my
Auto
dog.
space jump. Okay, so close this script. Check one. Back to you, ready?
This is a ride.
Auto jump. Limit. Clicking on the text stuff.
I'll hop on top of this one.
Over 9,000. I'm ready to act.
You, yay.
Go.
Escape.
And that takes your error.
Is this hold on queue or is this hold on?
I put this on my cube in
So,
the third
listen,
room.
I found out there are 2 ways to beat my game. Yeah. This is how you come over here, right?
Dalton?
Push this cube all the way up against the wall. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like it works. Cool.
So, oh.
Cubes have bounce.
Right here.
It might have some bounce.
It's
It's sitting there.
difficult. What we're about. Oh god. No.
No, he's gone. He's gonna be gone.
Okay, there may be 3 other players behind it. And
No.
my cylinders are figured out. Alright.
Backup plan.
Just backup plan.
Okay.
Up to you.
Hmm.
Okay, here we go. Come on.
Nice.
Do we think the cube? The cube is just awkwardly sitting there.
Shouldn't have to. If you guys want a nice elevator, you just stand on top of it, and it launches you up. Woohoo! Okay.
They didn't like it. They didn't do anything. Oh, you're gone. Oh, hey, just now. Look at our. Oh, I see it. I see it. I'll show you. It's not gonna land back on the block.
I was just about to say.
It happens.
Take the sequence.
Oh, I see. It's like randomly falling across.
Well,
my
templates.
keyboard. Yeah, I think I've.
Hey Keeper, do you remember when we did this?
You need to close your edge.
You said, do you remember when we did this? Right?
I guess you don't.
Yep, it's getting bigger.
You know what's really fun when we do this? You run around here.
And you jump off.
No, you don't jump off, you just shrink it and you just fall.
We're gonna go to edit.
Yeah.
That's what.
Preferences.
Are you inside the wall?
What?
And
No, you're not.
external tools.
Now you're dead.
External script editor. So we're gonna move our game tab down here.
It'll probably still jump stupid high.
Yeah. We're gonna scroll out a little bit here.
Delete it, that's all unreach.
We need a rigid body component.
That'd be better.
Does anyone else need help getting this sort of jump?
I need help getting
Yes,
this.
void start. So RB equals
Get component, rigid body.
Oh, wait, it is. Yeah,
Yep.
You didn't.
Just,
So we're gonna do
I'm actually saving this to.
Wait, what's that?
All of that.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our assets folder. Sorry, not assets, our project folder. So
Hey, baby.
that, that, that,
Oh.
click. Show and export.
Okay, deep.
They totally
So this is where you're at. You're not on the flash drive, you're in at local time.
Dude, I freaking love that. I freaking
We're
love
going
that.
to control click project settings.
Team America.
Save to.
Yeah.
Dude, it's legitimately my favorite song.
Or Century. You gotta listen to the, you gotta do the.
Drag that to your desktop.
Yeah, commercial with, what's his face?
And then extract it.
What's his face? The dude, the guy who's dead.
There you go. Butler doesn't block everything.
I use the one with the shark in it.
If you hadn't saved before,
Shark Attack.
Oh wow, I
I
totally
just
want
mean
to do
that.
this.
See, that's why I might need this.
Dude, that's why Off Liberty is truly the best.
So.
No.
Shark this.
No, Off Liberty.
5.
I mean, you just keep
that your old
clicking
stuff,
until you
not
get
your
to it.
stuff?
That's what I did.
Yeah. You always click the big green
Download
Is that what you were doing today?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, God.
It's all that is for the other ones.
Okay, so you're gonna go into assets.
Actually, modify that's really nice.
So there, show me file.
Carry that over.
No. No, just look up YouTube Team America.
Yeah.
I already have standard
No,
assets.
YouTube.
America. America.
Oh wow. comfort zone and the arms into nothing. Yeah, the internet's not great. I have open maps. Why is playing blue?
Check that before I start next time. Questions?
Okay.
Anything cool we can do?
I did.
So elevator and.
Hi, Scott. What can I do for you?
I got a question. Pass it in here, please. I took my project home, put it online.
We literally can't justify it like that.
Like it's almost actually impossible.
Make it 3D, flip back over, but then I couldn't.
All right.
Navigate to look.
So listen to this.
Sure.
All the dudes in the side.
Oh,
Yeah, you don't have to. So I thought, well,
Got over.
I could rebuild a space station,
Wait.
re-put all everything.
Wait a second. You
Take
download like
an hour and a half,
fast
maybe
walk?
you could just do it.
Load it up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the elevator and opening a door on.
I'm a genius.
Okay. Okay, let's take another 10-minute break and come back at 9:55. I think we'll have a cool new project to do after that.
Is this following thing, is that right? I put that, following.
I'm using it for pitch purposes.
The following position, the same thing as following where it's at. I put that the same one as the first time. So it's following it and keeping it.
And looking at it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Alright, it's gonna be stuck in your head for the rest of the day. It's a good song. Dude, the freaking music video is fucking good.
I'm sorry, what time did you say, Brian?
There's so much.
55.
55.
The actual one, the actual Team America one.
Oh my god. Things that they were listed on. Yeah, oh yeah.
Beth on the neon! One more time. Just like in the background.
Starbucks. Disney World.
Yeah.
Pictures. Sushi. Taco Bell. Doritos. Bed Bath & Beyond. 40. Band-Aid. Foster. Cupid. I don't know, but in one of them it said steak. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Yeah,
It's
they definitely said.
literally my favorite song.
They definitely said slippery once.
It's literally my
Yeah,
favorite song. I love it.
slippery.
No, you're not allowed to do that.
People. They did it, so. They said, "Oh." I love this song. It's my favorite. This is my favorite song. And you can't. Oh my gosh.
No, you wanna know my favorite song?
No. Just a no. No, he doesn't.
I like how Vimeo has ads on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I think it really does.
No, look at mine now.
them on the face. Here, listen to this, straight G here. Better.
What was the name of that sound effect maker we used last week?
BFXR.
BFXR?
Huh?
Hey, Alex, this is not good. In stripper. His mom was like, wait, what else did you buy in Dubai? Right? And he, oh my gosh. He's like, what else did you buy in Dubai? I was like, hot dog. Then
No strippers. And he's like, no, mini strippers.
I love that video. It was funny. It's wonderful.
You want to know a better song? It's Travis Garrett.
I'm, what the heck?
Here we are.
What? Okay, yeah. Heard it plenty of times.
Oh, you have? You've heard my album?
Not like, I didn't know that was the name of the song, but I've definitely heard it. The stupid meme where the dude with like long hair just turns around. You know what's funny? That guy reminds me of you.
No, go ahead with the song. Just for the song part.
Oh. Okay. Okay. It's art. Do this one. Art. No, I don't want to know all these. It's great. Oh, I like that shit. You need someone more racist. I'm not racist. What? How is that racist?
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm gonna change this before I turn it in.
Nice. Why does it change?
See, it's behind here.
I like the migrating.
Because that's the position you gave it. One thing you can do is you can say that camera distance of 17 and that camera whatever of 17. Make it edit that to get what you want. Okay, you can see it's on the XYZ of that new vector 3, and that's gonna affect things. Oh, I guess I should make that taller.
I should pick up this key and walk in this door and do the back to like. My cube is gone. It fell through.
That's extremely fun. Biley, you wanted to learn more about particles?
Just to see like if there's other kind of effects we can do with them, yeah.
So one thing I'm going to do with my particles this time, I want to make sure my simulation space is local. I'm going to set my speed to 0. And I'm going to set my emission to rate over time 0 and rate over distance 2. And so as I move this, it generates particles. I'm going to set the life to 1. Better go ahead and make sure I turn that renderer back to particle. So we get something like this. I like to change the size over lifetime to 0 so that it starts out at full size and then goes to nothing. And that way you get stuff like this, and it fades out into nothing. And then finally adding noise with a low strength. I'm going to check my 0.25 strength. But when we do this, they move in random directions. And I think I'll go ahead and change this rate over distance to 5. And we'll get lots, and they'll kind of go wherever they want to. I'll go ahead and add color over lifetime too. So it can start as a bright green and fade to, I don't know, maybe a darker blue. Maybe just a pale blue. And then right in the middle, I'll just make it like bright pink. Yeah, that'll be fun. So I'll get something like this. That's a pretty gross pink though. I'm going to change that pink to maybe something more red. Yeah, that's pretty nice. And maybe I'll make the size pop out. So something more like that curve. That way I get to see a little bit more of the blue. Okay, so this is a really useful one. I totally forgot about it. The start size here, I can set this to a random between 2 constants. So it can start out at 0.1 and maybe it'll go to 2. So now each particle is a different size, a random number between 0.1 and 2. And that's useful. But let's say you want to go crazy. You want to go crazy? Let's change billboard to mesh. And let's leave the mesh to cube. But we'll change it to sprite's default. And now it spawns cubes. And that is pretty, don't you think? And then we can do something like add a little bit of weight under gravity modifier of 0.1. And then we'll have collision, collides with world. And let's change the bounce to 0.25. So now what we get... Do we? I heard we had internet.
We do.
Internet?
We're gold.
Go, go, go!
We're golden boys.
I still say no internet.
You better get everything you need downloaded. You need to download it now. Or, wait till you go home.
Yes. Finally.
See, I want you to go down like that. Okay. Yeah, that's what I want.
So you can paint it yourself and get the gold. And I can probably paint more gold.
Okay. And we'll change the speed to 1. See what that gets. Okay. So, back down to here and play.
Isn't that what programming is?
Yeah, I was actually thinking that. No, not really. It's like a puzzle. Where you just constantly... I don't like doing that.
Let's change that modifier to 10. So I want a computer that can do stuff.
No, you need to put it into Ferrari. You need to go to monkey space for you know, the attitude.
Yeah,
Cool. Okay, so if I can show off what I did on my break. I turned all the lights off in my scene. And these two panels on my ceiling are just emissive textures. And so they emit a static light. And I think it looks quite good. So I'll pick up this key, walk through my red door, pick up my green key, walk through my green door. And then because I have a ceiling where this thing jumps, I had to make sure that it was taller up there. So it jumps and it emits particles as it jumps. Let's go ahead and turn. What can I turn off? I can't really turn off the box collider on this because it would just fall through the floor. So I'll say that my shape emits not from a cone but from a box and emits from shell, box thickness of 111. So hopefully when I move this now, they emit from the outside of the box, and that way I'll get a lot more. I feel like a lot of my particles are colliding with my box and staying inside the box. So this should look a lot prettier now. Damn these keys. Boom. Yeah, that's pretty. I'm happy with that. So one of the requests was I want to walk up to a door and I want it to say press E to open door. Okay? So let me see if all of you can figure out how that works. Let's say that we have a Boolean can open door. Okay, and it defaults to false. And then we have on trigger enter. Other. And we have our if tag door, right? So if we hit the door, let's say that when we hit the door, tag equals door, then we can say can open door equals true, and then on trigger exit, can open door is equal to false. So when I'm close to the door, when I've collided with the door, my Boolean, I can open the door is true. And when I leave that door, can't open door is false. Does that make sense so far? We've done that already. Well, we haven't done the on exit is false. But we've made a Boolean true when we run into a key, right? So let's take it a step further and say that when can open door is true, we print press E to enter.
No, you don't want to destroy it.
Well, we could destroy it because that's the easiest way. We can get into animations later, but for now, let's just either move it out of our way or destroy it. But finally, we can't destroy it if we're there. We want to say if E, right? And with use of our and, can open door. Then we open door or destroy door. So the last thing I would change is instead of a print, we're going to have our text on the screen actually pop up. Or maybe we could do something. Who's used TextMesh Pro in any class? TextMesh Pro? So let's just have a TextMesh Pro on the door that is turned on when we get in here, and then turns itself off. So instead of having some UI that's floating on the screen, we could actually have the door tell us, press E to open door. Does that sound cool? Seems like something really useful. Does that sound crazy hard?
It just sounds simpler.
Sounds what? Simpler? Okay.
Oh yeah. Download it now before the internet goes out.
There is a restroom.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so new door. I think I'll just make it right here.
Yeah, he works at Unity now. He's pretty smart. Well, except for he didn't know how to function. So it's using .NET. It's not that hard to use. But no, yeah, he's pretty smart. Have you shown the video? Go away. Dude, yeah, no, he like clickbait masters Lucy Jones. Logging in there, please.
What's your mom with that?
Yes.
Only have a regular text mesh on them.
It's an asset from the asset store. I highly recommend you check it out.
You get to an error, so you can fix the mesh filter.
What?
You get to an error, so you can fix with the mesh filter while I try to put the text mesh on there.
That's different. That's a component text mesh. We don't want that. So that's game object. 3D object. Okay, good. So some of you have not been indoctrinated with the Text Mesh Pro lecture, so I will give it now. All of my other classes in Unity have gone to the Unity Asset Store and downloaded this asset. You might have to log in with your username and password to get it. But what it is it's an object, and it gives us lots of options for different text. It works well. The default Unity text is terrible. So try. Oh, that's frustrating because you should have internet, right?
Yeah, I just probably set up there.
Okay. And it gives me something real nice like this. Press E to open, and I'll probably change this access to something like that.
If we don't have a Unity account, do we need to create one?
Yeah,
Okay.
you'll benefit from it. So the question is, yeah, we'll just do it all in one text for now. So I'm going to keep using this press E to open door text in my access. So luckily I can close all these else ifs. And I'll just have another else if other.gameObject.tag equals button door. what do you call it? Bool can open door. True. Public game objects. Open door text. And then because we're getting input from the player, we better have a void update. So I know some of you are copying my code. Bear with me for a second. I still got to build this and make sure it works. Not maximize on play.
Did you tag the door?
Did I what? No, I did not tag the door. Thank you. Okay. Lowercase. Let's make that capitalized. I try to make all of my tags start with capital letters. Bam! Bam. Bam. Okay. Yes, Riley.
How'd you get your text mesh to not destroy the door?
How do I get my text mesh?
Yeah.
To not
Because I tried to add the component onto my door.
Yeah.
And it basically deleted my door. Put the text mesh way at the top. And
Yeah.
then if I tried to move it, it moved the door.
Okay. Good question. Now I understand. It's not a component on my door. It's a child game object of my door. So this is my door, Quad 79, and Text Mesh Pro is just its own object underneath that.
Is it a 3D object?
It's a Text Mesh Pro. So if you go to Game Object, 3D Objects, you should see this.
Okay.
And that's what you should be using.
It does the same thing.
Well, your door looks fine. What's wrong with your door?
The door is fine, but the text mesh.
Okay.
That's it.
The code? Oh, hell no. Yeah, but
What kind of system?
Is this, are you using this?
it's funny.
Honestly, I'll have to be honest with you.
It's a joke though. It's funny. Oh look, you pulled it up. Cool.
Actually, we gotta delete it. Very nice. No, I'm missing so many brands. I wish they had different keywords.
Questions? Okay, so I've got a lot of text, a lot of stuff that I wrote. I have my else if, I have the entirety of void update, the entirety of void on trigger exit, and then some more stuff up here.
Is that in access?
Yes, in access. Now, I could have done this a million other ways. I mean, I can at least think of at least 3 other ways. The benefit of using it this way is that it's all in one script instead of using multiple scripts. Sometimes you may want to say, hey, let's have my door be in charge of when the player runs into it, it'll pop up its own text. And that way, for example, this would get really messy once I start having, 5 doors, each with their own open door text, and that would just get messy. So it might be simpler to have just copy the door, and the door has its own text, and I can build 100 doors, and they'll have their own script, and that's fine. My job here in this 3 hours is to get you to make something cool that you enjoy making, and then your job to do or not to do is to learn the more efficient way to do it when you need to. If you never need to, then you're good. I wish I could annotate this.
This is perfect timing.
What do you mean it doesn't make sense?
Look at these brackets. No. Mother is supposed to be right. They don't like how I do brackets whatsoever. Why? Yeah, mine was
What data type did you set your backdoor to?
What kind of type did I what?
What type of data type did you set your backdoor to? Okay, what is your
Game object.
game object of backdoor?
Yeah, let me show you that right now. So this is important to know. I've got public game object open door text, so I can set it active or inactive. And then I've got button door, so I can destroy the game object. And then I also have that Boolean can open door. Go ahead and write those down. You'll need those. Dalton, what's up?
I'm getting a whole bunch of errors for some reason.
That's fine.
Like, everything's structured fine, but I don't know why I'm getting errors.
Okay, so that void is because the open and close update, we don't ever close update. Okay, so we have our secondary if, which you didn't close. So right after button door, enter and then close that brace. There you go. Just hit save and see what you get. There you go. See? It's always just one thing.
Do we have to put the text message box right over the front of the cube? Or?
I mean, that's what I do. That's going to be the only way that works. It's a 3D object, so as you get close to it, you see it. Let me show you a couple of tricks about text mesh web. So one thing that's happening. Did you end up moving the box around?
Yeah, I was sure.
Yeah, it's the worst. We basically just never want to do that. Okay. Can I? You want to control Z, or you just want to go with the one? Okay. So here's our cube. That's our door, right? So 3D objects, Sketch Pro, and let's go ahead and create a tiny. That's the false and scale everything small. Much easier, isn't it? Get zoomed in on it, and then move into the next property line, and then go ahead and scale it. Riley, yes.
I'm having one.
Okay. Let me move this back to where it was. Okay. What do you got?
I got it set up that I keep getting rare access on trigger enter with black intelligence. Because I already have this one.
What line is it?
It's this one. Because there's this on trigger enter and there's this on trigger enter.
Ah, well don't do that. Because you were typing what I typed. Let me do this. So Control C. So all I did, I think, and you can't do it in yours, so this is just tagged on to the rest of those. So we have our else, all else ifs for the yellow door, and then finally our else access is denied. So we can just get rid of that. And you'll eventually have an on trigger exit, but that'll be a different thing.
Okay. And so
Okay. What do you think? I will update the feed on tab.
First off, go up, touch the door, give me your text access.
So back in Unity, it's a public game object on our player. So we have this scroll all the way down for script, and open door text, non-game object. We're going to drag that text to there.
Sorry.
So FPS controller, and then we would drag Text Mesh Pro to that. Alternatively, you can open this up and just search otherwise. We're going to leave that one off. So back to our FPS controller. Just use that. Use the both. We want both of those. FPS controller. Here is the second one. My line 46. So just look at that space. Line 46 is this button door, those other game objects. That's where it assigns it. So you did it perfect. You're in good shape. We're not fixing anything. Problem is, we did all those changes. Oh, no, your text screen's on. Okay, cool. Only other problem is we did all that in play, so you have to redo that when you're not in play. Yes.
5 seconds more. Unity and game objects, not the name of that, what's that after?
Sure. Look at that. Capital S. It's a method. We know it's a method because it has those parentheses after it, and all methods start with uppercase.
Same thing.
Because it's a method. Further down. That. Now is that?
When they just bring in.
I don't know. So your text is always on. When you walk away, it goes away, so that's me. But then it stays gone? Okay. So, click here on the button door and delete.
Oh.
Our text will assign that. So we should do that. So we got our Text Mesh Pro, and that's good. Let's go to our videos.
Leave me alone. It's not a base mod. It's who I am.
Yeah, I broke it too.
If you can't grab your bow.
Yeah, because you jacked up and you deleted everything. You deserve that.
Oh, you have yours here. That way we can get was it to the
Why on earth? You debugged it.
Yeah. Where did you go, dude? Just on.
Is that go attack?
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm getting the same issue.
Oh.
Except my text doesn't go away.
Is there any reason why you put dot after? Just that just visual.
That's actually part of Visual Studio.
So this game
Yeah, so in Void Start, just the object by saying is false. Yeah, you hit Void Start.
Okay. Start.
No, just the open vortex.
So now you're gonna look at it. It's gonna be like
Set that false.
And then yep, now you save it.
And then with that, so I have it set up to false here. It should shut it off again.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yes.
Still,
Just
else statement. Save, that's how that works. Okay.
No idea.
Mine just doesn't actually. That stays on the same variable.
So our APS controller has a public variable for our text. You can write it down.
Yeah.
Open door text. Yeah. Drag your text message out here from your door.
You got it?
Into that. But okay, so the only thing with you is you need to start with TextMesh Pro turned off. Scroll all the way up. And right next to the main at the top, on the other side is a checkbox. There you go. So let's go to your oh, okay, so that's fine. There you go. Questions?
It says I have an error here, but I don't see where.
There you go, yeah.
It says, what are
Okay. That'll probably be the inside of this statement. If input dot get key down. Yeah, not input get key down equals E, just input get key down open parentheses. Nope. Leave the parentheses, get rid of the equals. Riley, does it work? Carter, does it work?
Yeah. Not really, I mean, I'm leaving pretty small still.
Okay.
Did it work for you?
Yeah, but I saved the scene, right?
We're just
To make sure that it's.
Right, right, so save your scene first.
Okay. I can create a new one, just saying.
My question is, who thinks that's a good idea?
Now we right click in here.
What goes through someone's head in order to do that? They're dumb.
What goes through someone's head to watch stupid YouTube videos and send food
Dude,
boxes?
you need to watch some free Shibaku world.
Free Shibaku.
Gotta watch those remixes. That's the best thing when they remix like.
Alright, Scott.
Have you seen the video where it's like opening up the bridge and it's coming out so close to the food and the guy jumps across and it's crazy. This is so cool.
So go to your control script.
Yeah.
Probably gonna be good errors. So that Patrol.js is a JavaScript, so delete everything and go to 146.
Oh.
You got two scripts in there, and one of those is JavaScript.
There's no reason you should do that right now.
Are you hearing the music that's on? No.
How you doing? I'll bet. Byerly.
I think it might have been because I deleted the
Just chill music.
That's the Wii music. Like open everything.
Totally, yes. Chilling, watching.
Go ahead and play it once the what you get.
What? It's honestly really working. What?
Yeah, it just
It means like a month old.
I can't destroy the
Wow.
keys.
Yeah.
Can't destroy the keys anymore?
I think it's older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it's because I deleted it. I kind of reset it to that code. Unless there's more to the code.
Access goes in the FPS controller, and it's here. Square triggers here. So everything should be fine. This is your first key that the one.
Yeah.
So run for me.
It does
There'll be an assignment on Canvas.
Okay.
Like I said, this is what I think it is. It's not that hard.
Go ahead and try to fix it the way you were thinking.
Honestly, I mean,
What did you think the issue was?
me deleting it, but being able to bring it back is a little complicated.
What'd you delete? I see.
Pretty much destroyed all
You
the
deleted
stuff.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just
the
made my
screen
small-
black screen.
all my code is still
Hearing
there.
music.
Oh.
Okay, so you can control Z a whole bunch, and that might fix it.
Yeah, but then I had to close the whole door thing.
Oh, but then you could rewrite it and be fine. Guys, I didn't delete my text. I just closed it. All my text is still here. I don't know. Yeah, mine bad. It's all still there.
I mean, like, if you could like leave that open, that'd be nice.
Yeah, here, let me make it so you
I feel
can.
bad now. I gotta like control Z.
Or I could like the world.
Hey, I'm glad I didn't delete
So I'm having issues with the door itself. Like, whenever I walk up to the door, it basically says that basically I needed a variable open door text if access is not been assigned.
Yeah, so in Unity, Dalton, on your FPS controller, we have a access script with open door text, and you need to assign the text of your door.
So I need to throw it on the
edit.
apply the thing to the
Hey, Professor Onion, you want to see something cool?
What's up?
Actually, let me maximize this for you. So, no lights in the scene, just an emissive texture.
Very cool.
That's pretty, isn't it? Doesn't look good. So, first key, first door. Second key, Second door.
Very cool.
Random particles, just for fun. You know, this jumps every 2 seconds with code. And then this guy, press E to open door. Alright, come on, press E, nothing happens. Close enough to it. Third door.
Very cool.
That's cool, right?
Nice. Absolutely.
So I mean, that's every game right there. Run through a maze, find the key, get to the next door.
Yep.
So, real excited about this lesson. I always like this lesson a lot.
It's good.
But unfortunately, I gave them kind of a lot of code.
Oh. No.
So you know,
a little bit of code there.
They just gotta get some comments in there, and then it'll be fine. How was your
Nice.
class?
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Finished shooting today. So.
Cool. Shooting. Yeah.
Walk and shoot. Learn how to walk with your camera and shoot without it going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a skill you gotta learn.
Yep. So.
I used to do it because it was really fun
and
to.
how to hold focus and how to all that stuff. So.
Yeah. Fun.
Yeah. Yeah. They've done pretty well so far.
So I learned how to hold and shoot by holding a kid and
Yeah.
running.
Absolutely. Yes.
You learn to not.
If you're a
shoot
parent,
the
you
hell out of a
learn
kid.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Craziness. Yes.
So okay.
Looks good. I like that. Thanks. And now they have to make a derivative or.
Mm-hmm.
I need help.
I haven't decided exactly the assignment, but it'll be good. It'll be
Yeah,
similar.
nice. Very good.
Yes, Dalton.
Still getting this in error.
Well, did you do what I told you?
I know.
So it'll be in Unity. It won't be in your script. Select your FPS controller.
Apply the script to it.
No, you already got the script.
Foster,
Yes, sir.
can you do me a favor real quick?
Probably not. What's up?
Can you pull up the script again?
Yeah,
Oh, you're not.
love to.
I'm gonna take a picture.
How do I get the text? This text to disappear.
Have it start off.
I can't memorize all that.
So like, click the checkbox right here.
Scroll all the way up, and then yes, the checkbox there. That should do it.
I'm not a scrub. I don't have the gig yet.
It makes total sense that he's not a scrub, so I don't have to be a good
There you go.
scrub. I'm already good.
Yeah, then why can't you write it there?
Because
And then when you press E, does it open? Sure does. Now, if you want that to disappear with the door, you need to make it a child of the door. So,
I know how to make a child.
you got that? Okay.
Yep.
All right, Cameron.
You were born without a brain? Yeah, I mean, so this is on the door actually. Brain.
Right, on the door.
You are a scrub. You build yourself.
On nothing.
No,
It's on the player.
I got it.
I don't know. It sounded like you said you wanted it to be the hard way, right?
No, I said I did the hard thing because I didn't put it down.
After door.
So you got to open the door on your FPS controller. You got on trigger, enter, glider, other. No, the else if is not what you want. That else if, all that code in there,
I mean, I did have that.
that needs to be in your on trigger exit.
Welcome.
Also, you have lowercase u on update, which means the e will never work. But all of my open doors falls, open door text is false, is when I
That's
leave
the next one.
that door free in on trigger exit. I'll show you. Done? Questions?
After you're done, you want to check my thing for the last homework?
Yeah. Give me a minute. Hey.
Computer and work on stuff?
Yeah, you can. But wait, you gotta come see this cool thing I made.
Make cool things?
Yeah.
How come you don't do that in the other?
Oh my god.
This guy.
So step one, no lights in the scene. Just an emissive
Mission.
texture.
Yeah, you showed that off.
God, I love that. It's so awesome. Key one, you've done this. Key key 2. And then just randomly jumping box with particles, because why not? And then this guy, press E to open door.
Nice. What is it, interactive scripting in here?
Yep.
All the fun stuff?
Knock yourself out. All the fun stuff. Okay.
The issue is still the text is just there. Does it just come to it like up to the door? And the feature will work.
And the press E to enter doesn't work. Okay. Give me just a second.
I'm gonna make a YouTube channel called The Stroke Club.
Just like it's not worse if you broke the blue patterns. Yeah, by the way. Yeah. I think just go ahead, put a new application order and add descriptors to that.
Oh, internet. Come on.
Oh, yeah, you need to reassign all variables for access.
Actually, this one might be in there.
Yeah, so if you just then yeah, I don't know why so like out to me sometimes I will either just attach the mouse strip or no, the doors don't have to tag.
Man, I haven't taught this class how to do videos yet. I'm so frustrated. Okay.
There's a face that's on the bottom. One of them is this face. Look at this face, keeper.
I'll be with you, Scott.
Oh yeah. That face.
Khalil, you gotta get out of here? Okay, the assignment will be on Canvas.
Alright.
You got your code, right?
Huh?
Your project, you got it?
Yeah, I saved it.
Okay, see ya.
Did you want it to be 3 keys or are you let's get the
It'll be 3 keys.
This is a route.
No, you don't mess with them. Those get set them up.
This is a hotel. Not even kidding. It's probably the owners. Made down.
Okay, so you have to add another okay. Yep. And then make sure it's make sure you turn it.
I have no idea what it was possible. I didn't play Destiny, you're right.
Okay. Okay, so assignment. We've already built most of this, which is kind of a bummer because I wanted you guys to build this. But it is how it is. I've added a few more things. Please add one more key. Please add another door with the press E to enter functionality. I'm also going to require that you have audio playing when your door destroys itself. The problem that you might run into is that it'll play this audio for 1 frame or 1/10 of a frame and then destroy itself. So, right. Make sure your play audio is inside your FPS controller, your access script. If your play audio script is on your door, it'll be destroyed instantly and not play any audio. But if it's on your FPS controller will play the sound and then destroy the door. Okay? And then finally, a cube that jumps at 2-second intervals, just like we built in class today. I don't know if I showed you guys much of that code. Did everyone get that code written down? For the jumping? Okay. To turn it into the assignment page, your assets and project settings folder. Unless, I think most of you are in a Game Design 1 or a Game Design 2 class, and you know how to make videos, please send me a video instead. I didn't get around to explaining to just the interactive scripting students how to make a video.
If we know how to do that anyway.
Please do that. Yes. Please do that. I'll go ahead and check the box where it says you can either submit a video of what's happening or your code.
Would you like it on video like the last one, or?
No, Vimeo's perfect. Don't send me a video file, send me a link to Vimeo.
I can have the same video or video.
Yeah. I'm sticking around to help people out with their questions. Riley?
Just to double check, because I haven't dealt with Unity at home. Just to say, I need the assets for projects and the code that I worked on is going to be the assets folder?
Yes.
Okay.
Make sure you save your scene first. Control S to save scene, and then when you get home, you can just open that scene.
My cube won't work for my text thing.
See you, Ricardo.
Oh, that's a text. Oh, I know what it is.